Real True Education, Not Fake News. The 17th of October 2020. You're very welcome back to the channel. This is the American election, US election 2020 for the President, 35G. Get out and vote. You're welcome back. There's a war on between good and bad, right and wrong. And we're getting it hard to win in Europe. A few years ago, I took a court case to the European Court of Justice, demanding that it enforce its own strategic environmental assessment directive on environmental planning in relation to the Irish Renewable Energy Programme and all the windmills. And when I got to the European Court, I was told, no, you have to be a big business person and you have to have a business and a company. You can't go in as an individual. You cannot access the European Court of Justice as an individual. You cannot do it. In Britain, you can go to the US court, the British court, as a citizen if your rights are taken away. Under the Irish Constitution itself, you can do the same, and in the American Constitution, you can go direct to the courts and to the Supreme Court and have your rights vindicated, but not in the EU. And so there's a war on. There's a war on between these left, communist, Antifa, mass migration, globalist, progressive left that have dominated the United States Democratic Party. It's nothing more than a party for that. All of the party that was there at the time of Kennedy, that's all gone. That's all gone. That's no longer exists. No longer exists. Now, the Ukraine is trying to overcome corruption. It's not easy, and they were prosecuting a corrupt official, and Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, intervened, and he said, if you don't stop the investigation of this corrupt official, you won't get US aid. And they did have to stop it, or they wouldn't have got the money. And he got millions and millions for doing that. And Joe Biden is his father, and he's in on this. He was the vice president at the time. And in Russia recently, the Moscow wife of the Moscow Lord Mayor gave Hunter Biden $3.5 million, according to reports. He hasn't denied it so far. He said it's not relevant. So what's he getting all this money for? There's perjury in the police in America. They used perjury to get FISA warrants to attack Trump, and they attempted a coup to put him out. They wouldn't accept the result of the US election. There's no investigation into any of this, and I know here several authorities set up to look after the rights of the people, like the Advertising Authority and all this. None of those work. Financial regulator won't investigate anything. I have letters from him showing that if I can investigate myself and find a crime, he'll get in on it. How am I going to do that? The Law Society may work. It's not so bad, I have to say. That's the Solicitor Society and the Lawyer Society. But all told, I made a complaint against an advertisement on the television from an electricity company that said it could give 100% renewable energy. That's a total lie. That was in February. And it's now October and nothing has been done. I heard only one little email. They're not going to do anything about it. So we're not free people, and you cannot get the agents of the corrupt state and the left-wing state to vindicate your rights. So now, no investigation. And then they're out to defund the police. And in one case, somewhere about Missouri or Mississippi, Antifa terrorists arrived to burn down somebody's house, and they come out with their gun to defend their property, and they're now being prosecuted. They've been prosecuted for threatening these people coming to burn down their house. So that's the hallmark of a tyrannical state. We live in it here in Ireland, and we live in it in Europe. And if you don't act right, in this case in America, you live in it in America. And once your freedom is gone, it's very hard to get it back. Now, China is persecuting Christians and Muslims, persecuting minorities and persecuting the people of Hong Kong, and the Democrats love them, and the Chinese are buying up land all over the States and in Canada and here in Ireland. They have about 1/3 of all of the town of Dundalk and the land surrounding it bought up here in Ireland, and they just love them. These lefties love them, and they want to drive manufacturing to China. The Paris Accord was nothing more than a vehicle to push manufacturing to India and China. Substandard materials coming in, and your jobs gone to India and China. This is the craven, anti-patriotic, treacherous Democratic Party and the left-wing parties of Ireland and Britain, and and everywhere else. So radical Islam is running riot. Last night, a history teacher's head was cut off by one of them in France. There have been several attacks there and several attacks in Britain, and the left-wingers want, our opponents want, they want more and more of them. They say they'll be all right. They want to crowd them in because they hate us. They hate our Judeo-Christian type society. They just want to destroy it, and that's all these communists are about. And we have them everywhere. We even have a pope who's in that mindset. And so Biden wants to run the economy on windmills, which can't be done. Only 60% of it can be ever run on wind, and there's no wind on a calm day. And he wants to push out industry. And Trump said you couldn't bring it back. Trump is bringing it back. He is bringing back industry, and he's restoring jobs. And he's looked after veteran rights, allowed them to choose their own doctor. Veterans, people who have served their country, and he's allowing the right to try, where if you're terminally ill, you can try a medicine that's not fully approved. I mean, you're terminally ill and it has brought relief and help and saved some people. He thinks outside the box. He can think differently because he's a businessman, and that is a great asset. You may not get an offer of a president like that ever again. So anyway, he's appointed Conservative judges, and they're trying to stop him. And he appointed Judge Kavanaugh, a decent man, and they've done everything to stop that. And now Amy Coney Barrett, she's partly Irish, that's an Irish name. She's a great person, a woman, and they're trying to stop her as well. And their response to this is to what they call pack the Supreme Court. There's only 9 judges allowed in the Supreme Court, and the Democrats want to increase that to 12, 15 or 19 or 18 or whatever. They want to increase the number of judges so they can now put in their left-wing judges to counteract Trump's Conservative judges. That's what they want to do. You never get rid of these people. They are as cunning. They're just working away there in the background, taking away your liberty all the time. A recent Gallup poll showed that Hispanics and Americans are better off under Trump financially, and he's winning an awful lot of the African American vote, and there's no way. The man is not racist. He was involved with Mike Tyson when he was boxing. He just loves all people, and I don't think Trump would drop a bomb on any family. I think it'd break his heart to kill a child or hurt anyone like that. You know, he loves negotiating, and he's tough, and he negotiates from a tough stance, but he doesn't want, he would reckon that using violence is the wrong thing to do, and he's trying to pull all the troops home from these war zones and everything. And then the left have been given out for decades. Oh, why are we all in these foreign wars? And now when he does it, they don't want him. So they're frauds, they're fakes. We have them here in radio, television, and fake news media, and all these in Ireland. We have all these radio programs, News Talk, and all these guys, and we do one about them, all fake news. So one of the things, what do I want you to do? Well, first of all, I have to dress properly. And you know, in the War of Independence, the old flag, the Star-Spangled Banner, it got tattered and torn, like my cap has been worn on the tractor, and dealing with cattle and everything, and it says on it, "Make America Great Again." The Trump hat. I'm not afraid. Shame to wear it. I'll wear it anywhere. I don't care who likes it or who doesn't. So vote, and make sure you vote. Vote for Trump. Bring out all your friends. If you have friends, make sure they vote. Don't lie up on this. Make sure they vote. Find out if there's any person in your neighbourhood who needs a lift or a ride, or who needs a seat in your car down. Don't leave someone in the house. Now remember, most people, older people, will not come out till maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. Arrange it, get their phone, get their telephone number, their mobile phone, their cell phone, arrange to bring them in your car and get them in and get them to vote. Try it, start off around 9:30, depending on what time they get up, and bring them in, and then you have to bring them home. And make sure they have a phone. Make sure you have contact, so you have a book, and write down the contact details, so you go by that book on the day. And some of these people will want to go shopping afterwards, and they'll want to go maybe into a shop looking for one thing, and they won't get ahead and go into another, and they'll expect you to drive them around. What I suggest is you tell them once they vote, you leave them wherever they want, and you'll collect them later. Let them get around locally to do whatever they want. Don't go shopping with people. Unless you have only the one, because the time you spend shopping is the time you could bring in somebody else. So that's where the cell phone comes in. But don't abandon them either. Make sure they're brought home. If you want to get the hair done, say, look, I'll be around at 4 o'clock. You mean we'll bring you then. So you have to make this bit of a sacrifice. This is the price you pay for freedom. Now, the other thing is persuade as many as possible when you're talking. I noticed there's a melting in attitude in Ireland. They're not as afraid of him. He hasn't blown up the whole world and all that. And some people are coming to like the man now for his different style and his way of doing. And also, if you're not prepared to take somebody out, maybe you could provide meals. So we'd say there's a man up the road and he's going to bring in 5 people to vote, 5 people who have no transport. Right, you offer to make his lunch for him, buy a few lamb chops and a nice little snack and coffee and a wee bit of ice cream or something, and then at 5 o'clock in the evening the same. So don't have people that are doing good and out working, bringing in people making their own lunch. It's up to somebody else to cook for them and keep them going. Support them in that way so that all the time goes to bring them in. Now, folks, the next thing now is here in Ireland, I know my own national anthem, Our Own Navlian, the soldier song as they call it, and I'm going to try now to give you a bit of a boost as best I can. There are a strong number of people supporting President Trump. He's not perfect. I'd like to talk to him about the Palestinian situation and try and help there, but there's good in him. He stepped into North Korea, a very brave thing to do. And this is vital, because if we get him in America, we are on the road here. People begin to see, oh, it's working over there, and they're going to abandon our corrupt, rotten Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil. Oh, don't talk to me. And we have the green idiots in here, and most places, Britain's not much better. So it'll point the way in the right direction if we get Trump and a good Conservative vote for the Congress in the United States. So I'm going to give you a treat now. I know the wording of my own anthem, and I'm going to have a go at the American national anthem. And on the 14th September 1814, the British came back. They couldn't take their beating and they decided to re-attack. Having been driven out of there, Lord Cornwallis in 1876, he came over to Ballinamuck and he tortured and beat and killed many Irish patriots in Ballinamuck after that. But they came back again, and Fort McHenry was being defended by patriotic Americans, and they had the Star-Spangled Banner up on a big mast, and the British kept trying to shoot it with the cannon and break it, and every time they did, they tied it up again. And it turned out that it stayed up the whole night, and it was the bodies of the dead soldiers that kept it up, packed around it. They held out and they won that battle. But the British had the American patriots held prisoner in the hold of the ship, and these people couldn't see out. And Francis Scott Keys was a barrister, a solicitor or a lawyer, and he came down, he was entitled to visit them, and they only had one request of him, and that's when he went up on the deck to look over and see was the flag still flying on in the morning as he went out, and to shout down, it is or it isn't, yes or no. So that's the wording is, oh say can you see, by the dawn's early light. So this is what they wanted, that's all they wanted. And here we have a little bit of music to it, and I'm going to try and recite it. Now, it's not easy to do it with the music, because it's slightly done a bit faster. They sing it a bit faster than I would, and I'm not good at singing, but we'll say it anyway. So here we go. Oh, say can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and white stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming. Whose broad stripes and white stars o'er the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming. Oh, the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Make America great again. Bye.